So what we're going to do today is to establish a very well-defined prophetic framework in order to fit all of the information in that we have acquired, Nasi, up to this point.
Yeah.
Because if it doesn't lead us to right now, if the information does not lead us to right now, it's just an exercise in futility.
Yes, it
Because
is.
Yes.
that is where your power is right now,
Right now.
not in the past, not in the future, but right now, in the present
Mm,
moment. However, we're going to have to look at the past to show how we got here right now. And it must be
yeah.
an accurate view, an
Hmm.
Right.
accurate
Right.
walkthrough of that. And we're going to do our best to, uh, to present that and to put that on view today. So, again, for the record, there are two major overarching, governing, dictating, dominating programs that exist at any one time. However, there are an immeasurable multitude or myriad of variations and versions of these two basic dualistic programs, which are all running simultaneously, all at the same time. Therefore, no one is ever experiencing the exact same, quote, reality, end quote, in the dualistic human mind matrix. As we are concerned as melanated people, the two major programs are black and white, simple as that. Melanated dominant versus melanated recessive. Black people versus white people. The aberrant man versus the original man. This is how, again, we set this up. The vast majorities of people, they don't have this, and I see due to political correctness, which is part of uh, the programming, it will not allow them to see that.
Right. Right.
It will not allow them to come to grips on that. But we have to look at this thing in correct, accurate terms that don't have anything to do with societal, political, cultural, religious norm. That's the only way we're going to be able to see it. Science is discovering God's invisible magnetic mind universe through little peepholes into it through a newly dawning intelligence. But science is not yet aware of what it is discovering. Science calls it antimatter as yet. So we're going to the energetic. Antimatter is nothing but dark energy, dark matter.
Yeah.
And from an energetic standpoint, as it is expressed in the physical realm and biologically, it is expressed in terms of melanin. Neuromelanin, that is the melanin that is within us, and eumelanin, the melanin that is on the skin surface, the largest organ in the body. So this antimatter that they're talking about, what science is calling antimatter,
Yeah.
from a personal standpoint, from a biological standpoint, we know that that corresponds to melanin. That is
Right.
wonderful and wholesome to have
Right.
discovered and believed that there is something outside of matter, which is seemingly the source of matter emerging from it, is so wonderful that it seems like 1,000 years of progress in one day. Matter is motion. The antimatter, which now engages the serious attention of science, is stillness. And so last time we looked at the Genesis 1, the account of this antimatter, this dark energy, dark matter, which is dark consciousness, which is the divine consciousness, how it moved from stillness or rest or wholeness into duality, which is motion.
Right.
It's
Mm-hmm.
motion. All right? Simple as
Mm-hmm.
that. So we took a look
Okay.
at that. We won't go into the details, but I'll just continue reading. It is self evident that all motion springs from rest and returns to rest for eternal repetition in sequences, which we call electrical frequencies. Now we know that electrical frequencies are created through the creation of dualities. Like we said, the duality was created as a mental conception of divinity, and that created the what we call the physical universe or the uh, our so-called life experience in the material. So we call these things electrical frequencies. And again, getting to the energetic nature of all of this, because we must have a clear understanding of this. If we are to understand anything that has occurred from the moment that we what incarnated to this present now moment, it is also self-evident that all motion springs from out of the dark. So again, we identified this antimatter as dark matter, dark energy. And they're, although they're not saying it like that, they're alluding to it. All motion springs from out of the dark in divided pairs and multiplies their gaseous beginnings into dense bodies of incandescent suns, SUNs and SONs, then
Right.
disappears into the dark through the gases of themselves. And then we talked about this oscillating energy that creates the physical reality. We went into very much detail over the last several classes. Where and what is this invisible dark from which the light of motion appears, and which it disappears? Is not this the supreme question of all the ages? Of course it is.
Yes,
But
it
now,
is.
see, we've answered it. We've
Yes,
answered,
yes.
not based on faith. We've answered it based on knowledge.
Right.
And we can articulate how this knowledge, how this process works in scientific terms, in biblical terms, in allegorical terms, in parabolic terms.
Yes, yes.
Can there be any other answer to that question than the fact that creation emerges from its creator? And this is how we've uh, illustrated it in this image of divinity imagining creation and imagining it according to knowledge that wholeness would have to be what? Split.
Yes.
It would have to become dual.
Had to become dual.
The creation emerging from its creator. The greatest thinkers in science have repeatedly said that matter emerges from space and is swallowed up by space in some unknown and mysterious manner. The word space is rather a casual word to use in place of the creator. Likewise, it is a misleading word, for space is not an expanse of something outside of matter.
Right.
It is as omnipresent within matter as it is without,
Yes.
and it is in control of matter from within as well as without. So this is a tremendous way of looking at this, and how they've laid this out. So we're going to move
Yeah.
forward just a little bit more with the science. All right.
Yeah.
Future generations of enlightened men will cease thinking of this universe as being matter and substance. That's dualistic thought, family.
Yes. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
That's human thought.
Yes.
They will know it for what it is, which is motion only. Here we go. If you're taking notes, write down motion. When the idea of substance has passed out of thinking, not a not a simple thing to do, not a simple thing to do, because we've been so profoundly programmed with that thought. When the idea of substance has passed out of our thinking, and simulation of substance by motion will have taken its place, mankind will then comprehend his mind unity with the universal mind. Well, what is that saying? He will realize, as the scriptures say, it says, I and the Father are one. Look, we
Yeah.
can quote that all day long,
Yeah. We've been doing that.
and we have only an intellectual understanding of what that is. But we don't
Right.
understand the energetic aspect of the whole process of transitioning from a dualistic thought, which sees what? Matter and substance as being something quote unquote real. And we have to transition into now seek a holistic thought
Yeah.
that sees
Okay.
that sees I and my Father, the Creator in me, however you want to talk to, as being the same being.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Psalm 82 won't mean nothing to you.
Right.
I have said ye are God. The people
Mm-hmm.
that supposedly that was being directed at Nasi didn't get it as well.
No.
Because he had to remind you, haven't I said that ye are gods? And all of you
Right.
Right.
children of what? The highest elevation,
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
the
Okay.
highest vibratory frequency. Is that not divine?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Hard thing to comprehend.
Hard. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And he will know his body for what it is. Listen, merely an instrument for creating form images of mind thinking, or we should say divine thinking.
Right.
That's what they mean by capitalizing the word mind.
Right. Right.
Merely an image, an instrument, family, that projects divine thinking. But now we got to ask ourselves, now see, who is in control of that instrument?
Mm-hmm.
We're going
Mm-hmm.
we're gonna get to that.
Okay.
This reminds me of, a few days ago I read to you, Eitai, about that article, the God particle,
That's
and
correct.
how that, as the was being questioned and they was responding to, why religion had stopped,
Yes,
trying to answer thing and leaving it to science. But you
right.
see, religion can't answer because they're part of the dualistic mindset. So
Absolutely
Yes.
right.
Yes.
only the holistic mind, this family here, this whole line can relate.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Correct.
Mm-hmm.
Now, see,
Yeah.
what you just stated right there is that's where we're heading to. That's the goal line right there.
Yeah.
That's the goal line to understand what specifically happened to us through history.
Yeah.
So now see, it's not an abstract or obscure thought in our mind. We can point exactly to where
Yeah.
the shift took place.
Yeah.
So this is what we're doing today. The above figure symbolizes the uncreated universe. That is family, divinity at rest, the zero vacuum universe of rest, of rest.
Mm.
The scriptures talk about this in terms of the Shabbat, the seventh day
That's right.
Shabbat, right?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Right.
so now see, it begins with Shabbat and ends with Shabbat. It begins
Right.
with rest, enters
Right.
into motion, enters
Right.
into motion, motion ceases, and then it creates the rest again.
Yeah, that's I was saying the same thing as you were saying, man. This is the Shabbat.
That's
This is
right.
where they got it come from. All
So
right.
we're gonna decode and demystify all these things, but you're not gonna be able to do it from a human standpoint, from a dualistic
So,
standpoint. You're gonna just get stuck asking questions like, should we or shouldn't we honor the Shabbat?
right, right.
Mm-hmm.
If you're if you're human, by all means, continue to observe those days and
Right. Right.
wow. Oh boy.
it's the zero vacuum universe of rest from which the objective electric universe of motion emerges to manifest eternal life by simulating it
Wow.
in cycles of
Mm-hmm.
motion. Ain't no way, Nancy. It's a simulation.
Yeah, yes.
And
Yeah.
what we've been doing is chasing a ghost called eternal life, chasing a ghost called physical immortality.
Mm-hmm.
Because we have not understood the energetic nature of these things. We think we can do it by honoring the Shabbat and keeping all the commandments and doing
Right.
all
No.
this human stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
And I see steady dying,
Third
Yes.
time.
steady
Yes.
Third,
dying, steady getting sick and dying.
you know, and saying that we the only one that have access to, you know, the creator and nobody else does not, and we're dying just like everybody else.
That's absolutely
Right.
correct.
That's, that's the epitome of, you understand, misleading, deception.
Absolutely. This is
Mm.
God's or divinity's omnipresent universe of idea, desire for the expression of the idea by moving forms which symbolize idea. Now, see, this is what language does.
Yeah, yeah,
They're defining uh, they're defining the logos in no
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
uncertain terms.
Okay.
This is the universe of imaginer or observer who builds forms in the image of his imaging for giving and re-giving in cyclic intervals, which unknowing man, Nasi, calls
Mm.
life and death.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
You're going to have to get out the simulated matrix.
Absolutely.
Stop using the terminology and the things that you're understanding within the simulated matrix to try to get out. It won't work.
Yeah, right.
It shows that we are still profoundly in a state of ignorance of who and what we actually are and how and why we got here. There's a diversity of opinion now. See, all of these different diverse what realities, quote unquote, existing at the same time period,
Yes, yes.
with no hope of a consensus, no hope
No hope.
of a
No
consensus.
hope. No way. Mm.
So moving forward, this figure here that is captioned the transient electrically compressed universe, also family illusion of effect, the two electrical lights of body, the unreal, quote, motion picture, end quote, universe of thinking, mind, and action. The unreal motion picture universe of thinking, mind, and action.
In action.
Mm-hmm.
If it vibrates, if it moves, it is an illusion of mind. If it
Yeah.
vibrates, so our entire existence within the simulated matrix is a simulation of a divine idea of life. Now, see, it's just a simulation.
Yes.
It's unreal, but this motion picture of movement,
Mhm.
we what? Unknowing, in ignorance, we qualify it as real.
Yes, we do.
We want to focus on this motion picture aspect of it so that we see this, and then we're going to get into the motion picture of history, Nasi, starting at the Reconstruction period. Are y'all with me?
Gotcha. Gotcha.
Absolutely, shows.
We have to know the nature of this. Effect, figure 7, symbolizes the transient created quantities rather, of divided pairs of units of electrical motion. Created quantities, simulated, holographic, illusory. Nasi, transient.
Yes.
I'll
Yes. Yes.
define that for us. Moving in
Yes.
and out, life and death,
Right.
birth and death,
Mm-hmm.
from young to old.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
we inside the motion picture now see playing our role and trying to change the role at the same time.
Right.
It don't make no sense.
Right.
It'll never
Right.
happen.
Right. Right. Right.
The question
Right.
that you must ask is who is directing the motion picture?
Yeah.
Right.
Who's that?
Right.
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 Right. Right.
If you are human, you just an actor.
Yes. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You just saying your role. You playing your part. You'll never solve it. You'll never solve
Yes.
divinity from a human standpoint. But if you are the actor and the director, guess what?
That's the difference.
But see,
Mm-hmm.
your religious mindset won't allow you to see that you are the creator of all this.
No.
Right.
No.
Your social conditioning won't allow you to see. Your
Mm-hmm.
cultural basis won't allow you to see. It keeps you locked into your role. Created quantities of divided pairs of units which emerge from the vacuum zero universe. Understand, Nasi, it didn't say are created by the vacuum zero universe, which is what? Divinity at rest. It uses the
Right.
word emerge. We could say
Right.
emanate,
Absolutely.
Yes.
Right.
because that's
Right.
Yes.
part of the definition
Yes, it is.
of emanation. It is exactly what Yeshua said when he was, the character Yeshua said when he was trying to explain how he and the Father are one, and it's in. Hold on, let me try to find it. It's in John 8 and 42, family. John 8 and 42, and I'll read it, and it's in perfect context. And I'll begin in verse 34. In verse 34, and I'll read down into this. Jesus answered them, verily, verily, I say unto you, whosoever committeth sin is the servant of sin. The servant. You got to decide if you're the servant or the master in all this. You are the actor or the director in all this.
Right.
Right? I know I'm mixing metaphors, but everybody understands this. Now look, now see, here's the transient nature. Here's the transient nature. Verse 35, and the servant abideth not in the house forever.
Mm-hmm.
If you a servant and just an actor in this, you're going to be transient. You're not
Right.
to, abide in your house forever.
Right.
You playing out a role. But the Son abideth forever. If
Right.
the Son therefore shall make you free, ye shall be free indeed. Here comes cognitive dissonance,
Yeah.
Right.
which is kicking in. Now, see, once we put this on YouTube and individuals start to look at it, when they hear me speaking of this, is cognitive dissonance is going to start to activate. Just
Right.
Yes.
like it activated with these characters.
Right.
If the Son
Right.
shall there make you free, you shall be free indeed. I know that
Right.
ye are Abraham's seed, but ye seek to kill me, because my
Right.
word hath no place in you. I
Right.
that which I have seen with my Father, that my divinity is informing me. Now see,
Yeah.
and ye do that which ye have seen with your father,
Yes.
the
Yes.
one that is acting in the simulated reality right along with you.
Right.
Cognitive dissonance, verse 39. They answered and said unto him, Abraham is our father. That's another character you just named in the simulated reality.
Yeah.
Yes.
Jesus saith unto them, if ye
Wow.
were Abraham's children, ye would do the works of Abraham. But now ye seek to kill me, a man that have told you the truth, which I have heard of God. Thus did not Abraham. Ye do the deeds of your father. And they said to him, we be not born of fornication. We have one father, even God. Religious
Yeah.
programming.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
He trying to tell them that he and the Father are one, but they still externalize
Yeah.
God from the
Yeah.
Spirit. We're going to see this perfectly, family. Jesus said unto them, if God were your Father, you would love me. Look how he describes this now. See, for I proceeded forth and came from God. Neither came I of myself, but he sent me. Why do you not understand my speech? I'll answer you, Jesus, because you're talking in divine holistic terms.
Yes. Yes.
And they're thinking those various dualistic programs are running in their minds. And
That's right.
they can only conceptualize it in a dualistic human manner.
That's right.
Even because you cannot hear my word. So that word proceedeth forth. Nasi is the word pleroma.
Pleroma. Mm-hmm.
Pleroma, which means fullness. I'm going to show you all. You don't have to take my word for it. I'm going to show you. And family, I'm sorry, family, that is the term used in the Gnostic tale of the first stage of the four-stage emanation process that was bypassed.
That's the same word.
The pleroma was bypassed to enter into the waters below,
Wow.
to impact the waters below, so that
Mm-hmm.
this imperfect dualistic matrix could be created.
Wow.
So this word proceeded forth in John, the 8th chapter and 42nd verse. I'm sorry, it's the word ex exercomi,
Excellent.
exercomi. All right, and let's see. There is a word that is pleroma. Hold on, that is used in this. Oh no, I'm sorry, when he talks about the word fullness, all right, when Yeshua talks about the word fullness, and they talk about the word fullness in the scripture, that's the word pleroma. Now, see, it's related to that teaching, but I'll show you just because we're on it in the Greek. When it talks about the fullness of the Godhead bodily, that
Right.
Jesus was the fullness of the Godhead bodily. It is the word oh, this is in Colossians, the second chapter in the 9th verse, is the word pleroma.
2 and 9.
Strong's G 4138. Pleroma. Pleroma.
And that is that first uh, first stage or the first step of emanation that was bypassed in order to create this dualistic being that we are, and that divinity became. It was done on purpose. It was done with knowledge of forethought. So this symbolizes the transient created quantities of divided pairs of units of electrical motion, which emerge or emanate from the fullness of the zero vacuum universe, or the vacuum zero universe. To what? To manifest its qualities for what? Timed intervals, seconds, minutes, hours, days, months, weeks, years. And now, see, you think by observing those things that you're going to be made whole?
Yeah, that's the thinking.
It'll never happen.
No, no.
Nope.
And are then dissolved into its equilibrium for reemergence. That's just cyclical. It's going to go over and over again. And then you're going to burn out energetically trying to follow those things,
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
because you have not activated your true divine what? Energy, your true divine nature. These seeming quantities of electricity compression form light spectrum, expansion, sex, sound, heat, motion. All right? These multiple quantities seem to exist. They seem real. They seem like existence. And they actually are just existence in terms of the simulated reality. They appear and disappear again and reappear to simulate the qualities of life, energy, and idea, which they seem to be but are not. Do you all see this?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
This is the motion picture universe of simulation and illusion. This is where I wanted to get to, family. It's just a motion picture that you are creating. that mind, Nasi, that dualistic mind matrix is created, which dramatizes the idea of reality
Yes, it
by
does.
electrically projecting
Right.
the thought image forms of mind idea upon the imagined screen of space, which is nature. See, we thought nature was it. We thought
Yes,
nature meant truth, but nature is just is a byproduct of the simulated matrix. It's natural to the simulated matrix that the dog chases the cat, that the cat chases.
Mm-hmm.
That's not organic. That's simulated, and
right.
it's just an endless circle, what they refer to as the circle of life.
Yes, it is.
And we imagine what? Life and death, life and death, life and death, even in the competition
Mm-hmm.
for life and space.
Oh, oh yeah.
So this is what we wanted to say. So before we really get into the teaching, uh, we're going to end with this. Not the class, but we're going to end the introduction with this. Remember always that whatsoever is happening around you is rooted in the mind.
Yeah.
That the motion picture that you are watching is just a byproduct of mind, of the dualistic Nasi idea being projected by you within
Yes, yes.
the false simulated matrix. Mind is always the cause. It is the projector, and outside there are only screens. You project yourself. So, am I projecting a human experience or am I projecting a divine experience? That's the
Mm-hmm.
question.
Mm-hmm.
Existence is only in the present. Your true organic existence is only in the present. Mind is never in the present. It always wants to take you back to a certain time. This is how you know it's mind, Nasi.
Right, right.
Back to when America was great.
Right.
Back
Yes.
to the Garden of Eden.
That's how you
Mm-hmm.
know.
Back to the kingdoms of old.
Mm-hmm.
Back somewhere.
Yeah.
Or it puts you in the future, worrying about the outcomes. You better worry about it. If there's no one there present directing the movie, guess what? It's going to direct itself.
Yes.
And we said it's a human dualistic program. We better take the director's chair, family. But first,
Yeah.
before we do that, we're going to go back and point out something that is very important to give these Nasi broad concepts some very personal details relative to the parts that we played in this motion picture. So we're going to go back to the Reconstruction era. The Reconstruction era was the period from 1863 to 1877. So write down, if you're taking notes, those two parameters, 1863 to 1877. And something very important was done here, I see. This is going to your question.
1863 to 18 what?
1863 to 1877.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
The term has two applications. The first applies to the complete history of the entire country from 1865 to 1877 following the American Civil War. The second to the attempted transformation to the attempted transformation of the 11 ex-Confederate states from 1863 to 1877. This is very important. How much y'all want to bet that that transformation ain't never took place? It said the attempted transformation. That should give you a clue. The attempted transformation of 11 ex-Confederate states from 1863 to 1877. Now we're going to go into detail. As directed by Congress, Reconstruction ended the remnants of Confederate nationalism and ended slavery. False, false, false statement.
Yeah.
They attempted to do this. Y'all gonna understand. Confederate nationalism never ended. That's why you see all these Confederate flags flying around.
Right.
These Confederate generals. You go
Right.
with them statues down there, making the newly free slaves citizens with civil rights apparently guaranteed. Look at this, the language they use, by 3 new constitutional amendments. 3 divisions. Listen, 3, not 1, now see.
3 divisions.
3 divisions of Civil War memory appeared during Reconstruction. That is a strange word.
Yes,
That's a strange frame.
yes, it is.
3 divisions of Civil War memory appeared during Reconstruction. Isn't that funny?
Right.
Yeah.
But y'all gonna know exactly what they're talking about, because now see, they know that the tendency of mind is not to remain what? In the present.
Right.
It is to go back and remember life in a
There you go.
version
Right.
that is in accordance to the program that is running within you.
Yes, yeah.
Are you all hearing me?
Yeah.
Dang.
3 versions of Civil War memory appeared during Reconstruction. The reconciliationist vision, that's one, which was rooted in coping with the death and devastation the war had brought about. Okay, that's natural, that you're going to have to reconstruct, now see, from a physical standpoint.
Yeah.
All right? Repair the infrastructure, repair
Right.
physical institutions.
They still doing that to the day.
Still doing that to this day.
Right.
Here we go. Now, here's the major dualities now. The white supremacist vision, or the white supremacist version, which included terror and violence. Let me ask you, has that ended?
No, absolutely not.
No.
Nope.
Not to this day, family. It is the threat of that. I don't care where you are in the world.
Right.
Today, the threat of that violence based on your skin color.
Yeah.
And it's not really the skin color.
It's not really the skin color.
It's based on who you are energetically and what your skin color simulates.
Right.
That energy
Right.
is a present, ongoing, ever-present threat with you. I don't care what you say.
Yes, yes. Yes.
Now, here's the slick part. And this is going to tell us what mind, it's going to tell us what program is running in all of us to a certain extent to this day. The emancipationist vision, which sought what? Full freedom, citizenship, and constitutional equality for African Americans. Let me ask y'all that are living there in Israel, what are y'all doing relative to citizenship?
Oh, listen.
Is the same emancipationist vision.
man, what?
Y'all carried that with you.
Mm-hmm.
Am I lying or not? I'm not throwing rocks, y'all. I'm just asking, is that something that is valid?
Yep,
No,
man.
it is.
Come on, show.
That's the
That's the truth.
program that is running. And it is
Yes, it is.
running
Mm-hmm.
all over the world from people that come from this experience. And we are
Right.
different people, family. We are different
Absolutely.
people. If you chose to what? Emerge, incarnate, emanate into the West, you're not like everybody else.
Right.
Right.
A different program running in you purposefully.
Yes,
Mm-hmm.
yes.
Somebody is sitting in the director's chair, and it ain't you. It's not your divinity.
Right.
Nope.
Because your mindset and your behavior and your opinions and your attitudes speak to it. You are governed by an emancipationist vision.
Man, I know all y'all know about the young daughter that got killed in the service. You know, they railroaded that like you wouldn't believe.
Yes. Absolutely. Sure
Dang.
did.
You
Big
know.
time.
Only like causes produce like effects. And
Yeah.
you only gonna see stuff like that projected on the movie screen.
Movie screen.
Mm-hmm.
So now let's talk about Jim Crow law. I said that they talking about the apparently guaranteed by 3 constitutional amendments. Man, if we don't know, we're in an illusion.
Mm-hmm.
Let's talk about Jim Crow law now. In U.S. history, any of the laws that enforced racial segregation in the South. Well, I thought that there were 3 constitutional amendments that superseded all the laws. That's what an
Yeah.
amendment
Mm-hmm.
is, isn't it?
Right.
But they said apparently guarantee. See, this the okey doke.
Yeah.
Watch this. Any of the laws that enforce racial segregation in the South, listen, between the end of Reconstruction in 1877 and the beginning of the Civil Rights Movement in the 1950s. Does that make sense
Mm.
to y'all?
Mm.
If there was an end to slavery and
Right.
Confederate nationalism, and if
Mm-hmm.
they transformed the 11 ex-Confederate states within that time period of Reconstruction, Nasi, then why are we still seeking civil
Come
rights
on, show.
in the 1950s?
Right. Mm-hmm.
Wouldn't be no need to, would it?
No need to. You chasing an illusion. They got us chasing an illusion, and just because you say with your mouth that you're not a Christian, that you're not an emancipationist or nothing like that, check your program. Check your program. Are you still seeking full freedom and or citizenship and
Yeah.
or constitutional equality? That's why they kneeling in America now
Yes.
during the playing
Yes.
of the national anthem. And it ain't really no controversy like that. They can see, the people that know can see that program that was installed, Nasi, is still running.
Mm-hmm.
It's running in Ghana. It's running in West Africa. Anywhere you go, there you are. It's running in Northeast Africa. Anywhere you go, there you are. And the program is still running because you're attempting to solve freedom based on an emancipationist vision. failing again to understand the energetic nature of your incarceration.
Incarceration. Yeah.
Martin Luther King family, he was beginning to wake up to this.
Yeah. That's why
Remember
they
the
had to get,
statement.
huh?
Remember the statement. See, we trying to integration is unity. We trying to achieve unity with some people that we were never defined that we from the beginning were never designed to integrate with
Mm-hmm.
on that basis, on a social, cultural basis. The only thing that you can integrate with, the only way you can integrate, now see, is energetically.
That's the only way.
Yes.
And if the energy is not the same, it's impossible. It's going to be trying to like put two magnets together.
Right.
Impossible.
Impossible.
I couldn't get to my phone fast enough.
That's
Because that's exactly what I was going to say. You're trying to put two magnets together.
correct.
Positive and negative is not going to work. Never has.
Has it worked? Has it worked since Reconstruction?
No, no.
Never, never.
They just selling you, Nasik, a different version of an illusory dream that you'll never
Yeah.
catch. You won't catch
Right.
it here in the West. You won't catch it no place on this planet.
No place.
Midway through the civil rights movement, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. realized the struggle for what? Integration would ultimately become a struggle for economic rights. Write that down.
Mm-hmm.
Economic.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to make this clear, man. We're going to make this clear.
Yes.
This what's going on right now and up to this day. I remember the last time we were together, and this is from the recollections of the brother that's the actor, Harry Belafonte. I remember the last time we were together at my home, shortly before he was murdered. He seemed quite agitated and preoccupied, and I asked him what the problem was. This the ancestors struggling with him, family.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I've had that same type of struggle where I've told you all, and my Esau will tell you, I become agitated and preoccupied until this thing is birthed forth. And I acknowledge what it is that has been given to me. I've come upon something that's disturbed me deeply. We have fought hard and long for integration, as I believe we should have. And I know that we will win. But I've come to believe we're integrating into a burning house. The statement took me aback. It was the last thing I
Mm-hmm.
would have expected to hear, considering the nature of our struggle. But the nature of your struggle was dictated by the
Yes.
mindset that was governing you all.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
The emancipationist vision. And I asked him what he meant. Does this make sense, family? Is this clear?
Mm-hmm.
Now, you know, this makes the statement, "A mind is a terrible thing to waste."
That's correct.
Now, see, because the mind that they what program you with,
That's right.
that's the mind that gonna dictate everything.
That's right. And now see, they got answers for civil rights movement. They got
Oh
answers
yeah,
for protests. They've got even answers for violent revolution
yeah,
because these are all programs.
yeah.
I am afraid of or variations on the same program. I'm afraid that America may be losing what moral vision she may have had. Now that's your problem right there.
Right.
Write down the word
Right.
morality. Write
Right.
down the word morality.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to break
Mm-hmm.
this down, family. I'm afraid that even as we integrate, we are walking into a place that does not understand that this nation needs to be deeply concerned with the plight of the poor and disenfranchised. Let me ask you all a question. Prior to 1892, were we poor and disenfranchised? Come on now.
Prior to,
Prior to, I'm sorry, 1492. Prior to
oh, 14,
1492.
okay, right,
Prior to
right.
1492, I was looking at one thing and saying another. Prior to 1492,
No, absolutely not.
why not?
No.
We had it all.
Why
Oh,
not?
absolutely.
Why not, family?
You remember what the Queen said? It wasn't until 15, what, 53, 54 before she had gotten it from her black nobility?
That's right. And we
And we in
defrauded
our language.
of everything that we own. See, we cannot put this economic thing out of the picture because it is
Mm-hmm.
always one of the central aspects to our freedom, Nasi, to regaining our freedom. And I told
Yeah,
you, our ancestors will not ignore it. They will not allow you to ignore it. That's
Right.
why Nasi, that's why Martin Luther King Jr. was struggling with that. Y'all trying to integrate, and y'all ain't got your stuff back yet. He was deeply troubled
Mm-hmm.
and agitated, as we all
That,
should be.
oh yeah.
Ain't no way I'm going nowhere else until I get my stuff back.
That's right.
Very important element. And the other program that runs is that money is not important. That's the
Yeah,
other program that runs. And this idea of being the poor righteous teacher.
yeah.
Ain't no way that's me.
No, 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 no.
But this is the idea that spirituality, now see, they inverted this. That
Yeah,
spirituality, that economics somehow competes with your spirituality.
right.
That's a damn lie.
you can't
Yeah,
be both.
Right.
Absolutely.
They tell you can't be both. That's a
That's right.
program that's running. We're going to see this very clearly. Until we commit ourselves to ensuring that the underclass is given justice and opportunity, we will continue to perpetuate the anger and violence that tears at the soul of this nation. Now, what
yeah,
he was referring to, anger and violence, he was referring to the white supremacist vision,
Mm-hmm.
which is a program that is running simultaneously with ours, that includes terror and violence. Are y'all seeing this?
mhm.
Okay.
Now, let us move forward because we have to deal with this aspect, Nasik, of inversion. What they refer to as progress and evolution, we know it's inverted. It is regress and devolution.
Yeah,
All right? So, but look, we've been sucked into that paradigm, Nasik, with the so-called civil rights movement, or which was had its inception in the emancipationist vision or version of the program.
yeah,
That's not
right.
something that we created. That's something
No,
somebody else created, and we what bought into.
Mm-hmm.
And the compulsory educational system reinforces that. That's the only version of history that they teach. That's why we started the Reconstruction era, because now see, they began our history in compulsory education where? At slavery.
Right.
that's it. Yeah,
And then if they do have some books, it's on African history.
Yeah. Right.
Right.
The
Right.
fact was that we was here prior
Right.
to them getting here.
Right.
So I'm showing you the program. We got to identify this program.
Mm-hmm.
This is a excerpt from Our Lady of La Salette, September 19, 1847. It was written, this so-called vision and so-called prophecy was given in 1846, but published in 1879. Think about that. 2 years after Reconstruction.
Mm-hmm.
Think with me, family. And it said that the Antichrist will be born of a Hebrew nun,
Hebrew nun.
Of Hebrew none.
a false virgin who will communicate with the old serpent. I'm
Wow.
showing you how they demonize our energetic nature, family. You got to know
Mm-hmm.
that old serpent is nothing more than Kundalini energy.
Yeah.
Right.
It's nothing more than your subconscious. It's nothing more than what was being termed the id. You got to see how this was inverted.
Mm-hmm.
Got to see how this was flipped, family, during our fall. We just didn't fall straight down. We fell on our heads. And that fall, it turned us literally inside out, like a sock,
Yeah. Right.
like a sock. And
Right.
if we don't know this, then it's going to be extremely problematic for us to even get on our feet. Now, see, with this.
Yeah.
Now, listen to this. In the year 1864, let me ask y'all, when did Reconstruction begin?
That 18.
1863, right?
1860. Mm-hmm.
In the year 1864, Lucifer, along with a large number of his demons,
Oh no.
will be unloosed from hell.
It's too much.
That's too much now.
I'm telling you.
Come on.
Let it be
Wow.
known, here we come.
Now, look, I'm going to show you that this program is running in the majority of aberrant man to in one version or the other.
Uh,
That this program is running in the aberrant man in one version or the other, or another, rather, I should say. Y'all know who we talking about? Lucifer with a large number of his demons. That's you.
right.
Mm-hmm.
Will be
Mm-hmm.
loosed from hell. Now listen very carefully. They will put an end to faith. They will put an end to faith little by little.
He tried too much.
Now, I'm going to tell you, y'all going to see this very, 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 in very clear terms. The faith that they are talking about is the faith that was prevalent in the West and in Western Europe and in America, in the Americas. The threat of you connecting energetically with yourself will put an end to faith little by little. I'm going to show y'all that we've been walking this path and they know it. We just don't know it.
You just don't know it, right?
Dang.
Even those dedicated to God, even those dedicated to God, they will bind them in such a way, they will blind them in such a way that unless they are blessed with a special grace, these people will take on the spirit of these angels of hell. I'm going to show y'all exactly how they took on our spirit. and transmitted, Nasi, this so-called antichrist Luciferian hellish spirit all over the planet. Y'all got to understand this.
Mm-hmm.
They not seeing you with the same eyes that you seeing yourself.
Yeah.
So when they talk about Lucifer, understand they talking about an entirely different being than what you talking about, and you really
Yeah.
haven't even pinpointed who
Right.
Right.
Lucifer
Right.
and the demons are, because you do not have the power to define it. You did not have it during this time period.
No. Right.
So it's not based on what you think or what opinion you have on how they defined it. And they talking about your black behind. Several religious institutions will lose all faith. I'm going to show y'all how that happened, and will lose many souls. Now, see, it could happen as a direct result of an economic crash every time.
Every time.
Every time. Y'all going to see this clear. I'm talking about crystal clear. Crystal clear. Because we have to have clarity when we're talking about this. This cannot be something that is obscure or abstract, now see, in our minds. You know why? Because it is not obscure and abstract in their mind.
Mm-hmm.
No.
This is from Our Lady of La Salle, September 19th, 1846, published by this Melanie in 1879. I believe it's some type of publication, a magazine, a paper, I don't know. So when she referred to the fact, they referred to the fact the Antichrist, born of a Hebrew woman, communicate with the old serpent. In the year 1864, Lucifer and all his demons will be loosed from hell, putting faith, uh, putting an end to faith little by little. The 13th Amendment, which formally abolished slavery in the United States, passed the Senate April 8th, 1864. Y'all hear Lucifer? You hear that? That's when y'all was released from hell. Lucifer and Lucifer's demons. And the House on January 31st, 1865, on February 1st, 1865, President Abraham Lincoln approved the joint resolution of Congress submitting the proposed amendment of the state legislature. But understand, they at the same time they allowed this other program to run, family, which was
Right.
white supremacist vision and Jim Crow laws till the 1950s. Y'all got to consider this
Mm-hmm.
to understand what is going on here. There are two realities running, at least two, Nasi,
Yeah.
at least two major realities with what? Multiple variations of those realities.
Yes. Yeah.
And the variations often what? Fool us.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Because we look at a Muslim vision and we say, wow, that's a Muslim vision. And we look at, and it could be multitudes of Muslim or Islamic vision, but they all running running to the same program, family. And we look and we say, well, that's different because that's a Hebraic vision, but it's still an man is running to the tune. It's being directed by what? An emancipationist vision, etc., and so on. Are y'all with me?
Yes.
So Lucifer and a large number of his demons, that this will put an end to faith little by little, even those dedicated to God. And again, that old serpent being raised up. Well, let's see what they're talking about actually. because we know it's not talking. We can't just focus, Nasi, on black skin and light skin, white skin and dark skin.
Right.
We know that purposely it's been those have been used as a guideline. We can't ignore them, but we always have to be looking at the energetic source, because then we get into, political correctness, racial equality, this and that, all that human stuff. Divinity looks at and then we become insulted, family, that they called us Lucifer and, demons and all this kind of stuff. That ain't no insult.
Call you a nigga.
Absolutely. That ain't no insult.
Yes.
Come on. I mean, you still in your human feelings. You're in your body.
Right.
You haven't ascended to your divinity yet. So let's take the divine view. You all see that how they have the id, ego, and superego. Look,
Mm-hmm.
represented, how they have them represented here. The id, of course, is represented as the devil with the horns, right? Demonic,
Mm-hmm.
Lucifer. That's Lucifer, ain't it? The ego is represented just as a human woman. And that's correct, because that corresponds to Kava, right?
Mm-hmm.
Eve.
Mm-hmm.
And the superego, uh, represented with the angel, with the halo over its head, representing divinity, representing God. All right. Y'all see how they got that flip?
Mm-hmm.
And we saw, now see them flip that in the Bible, allegorically, where they vertically integrated God. The superego is Adam, representing the morality. God told me you shouldn't eat from the tree. So the superego put on top Adam, Eve, under him, and then the serpent, what? Under her. And created enmity between the woman and the serpent, between that aspect of you that has direct access, family, to your divinity.
Yeah.
Energetic nature of your divinity that takes you outside of the simulated matrix is your id or subconscious. And it has been demonized because they know that once you activate that, Nasi, ain't nothing going to be able to hold you.
Yep, they know it.
Right.
So therefore, the id is the serpent, the devil, Satan, Antichrist, Lucifer. Now let's learn a little bit about it as we move forward. The id is the only component of personality that is present from birth. That is your divinity that you emanated in here with. This is why the scripture says that you must become what? As a child.
Yes.
Get back to what you came here with. The ego and the superego, all that morality is developed later. You don't come in here with no moralistic view of right and wrong. No idea whatsoever, Nasi, of dualism.
Yeah.
This aspect of personality is entirely unconscious, or we should say subconscious. It includes the instinctive and primitive behavior.
Mm-hmm.
That's why they call it the beast in the Bible,
Right.
or it's represented as a beast, symbolized. According to Freud, the id, listen, is the source of all psychic mental energy.
Mm-hmm.
And the primary component of personality is what you are built on. It is the dark, inaccessible part of our personality. They say inaccessible, but it is accessible. And it is in contrast to the ego. We call it chaos, tohu vabohu,
Yes.
family, a cauldron full of seething excitations. It is filled with energy. Now, see, inexplicable,
Yes, yes.
reaching it from its instincts, and it has no organization. It cannot be organized in a hierarchical manner.
Right.
It is formless, nameless. It has no organization, no order. It's chaotic. Chaotic. Produces no collective will because it is self-centered, individualistic, holistic. Why wouldn't it
Mm-hmm.
be? It's not competing with anything else, but only a striving to bring about the satisfaction of the instinctual needs, the desire of your heart,
Yes.
subject to the observance of the pleasure principle. Let's continue on. We're going to make this connection now. So you all remember, because we got to bring this up to the present day. You remember when Barack Obama came to the presidency, won the presidency,
Mm-hmm.
up until he won, they began calling him the Antichrist, not because of the color of his skin, but that he carried with him the potential to activate this power.
Yes.
And it was the Christians that began putting this information out there that this man was the Antichrist,
Mm-hmm.
that he was Lucifer. Look how they got him presented. They knew
Mm-hmm.
that he had access to the power of the ear, to the power of the divinity, which is present in him. They had already defined us as Lucifer and the Antichrist years before in America. Are you all with me? So
Mm-hmm.
this should have been no surprise. But when we see this, we say, oh, it's racist. It's because of his skin color. No, it's not just because of that. And family, if you think that this became mainstream. This was on CNN
Yes.
asking the question, is Obama the Antichrist? We have to know how this thing has developed into the present prophetic framework that it is currently, family. The neoconservatism, and these are the neoconservatives that put this thing out, is a U.S. phenomenon, an American phenomenon that at one level represents a historical and ideological reaction to the 60s counterculture reaction to the 60s counterculture revolution. Look, that is based on, now see, the program of white supremacy, the vision of white supremacy established in the Reconstruction era. Two programs running simultaneously, all at once, all at the same time. Ain't no way you're going to unite this. It is purposefully dualistic.
Mm-hmm.
You're not going to get them to see that to see your reality like you see it. It's not going to happen. It is profoundly dualistic. It represents a historical and ideological reaction to the 60s counterculture revolution that established new freedoms for Black students, women, gays, and cultural minorities. These movements involved the struggle for civil rights and rights for members of new social movements. That's the same emancipationist view, emancipationist vision going forward. It is a program that is running, family,
Yes.
that we did not create. The neoconservative reaction is a rollback and repeal of these rights, issuing in a critique of liberalism and the alleged social disorder or chaos and anarchy. They ain't talking about no physical aspect. They're talking about the fact that us activating this chaotic energy, the id, the divinity, is going to destroy all this. They know it. We don't know it. They know it. That resulted from the counterculture. We have always been, we will always be, relative to our basic divine nature, or I should say organic aspect, counter culture, counter society, counter anything human, counter civilization.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Divinity has no desire. Once it has been activated to remain what? Restricted in any of those things.
Yes.
Bang.
Its nature is to destroy. So that is why they call it antisocial, anti-cultural. And the term antichrist is not antichrist, it's anti-Jesus. It's anti-humanity. Jesus
Mm-hmm.
representing the humanity, Christ
Yeah.
representing the divinity. Remember, they inverted these terms. So it's not antichrist. We are pro-Christ in that sense, pro-divinity, pro-divine aspect, pro-id, pro pro-God. Moving on now. Well, actually, we're gonna move back to the Roaring Twenties and take another look at this and show you, family, that we are the ones, as they predicted, that would what put an end to faith little by little, and the faith of those that are dedicated to a God outside of themselves. I'm going to show you how we did it. We weren't aware of it, and when we look at history, we don't look at it like this. But we've taken back, family, our divine thinking. We've reaccessed that. We've reconnected to that. I and my Father are one. The divine perspective and perception. We share the same perception. The Roaring Twenties was called the Jazz Age. We're gonna find out what jazz did. The spirit of the word. We just following history, family. We just following history. But you'll be
Mm-hmm.
able to see this with your eyes that see. You'll be able to hear this with your divine ears that hear. And you'll be able to understand this with your divine heart that is understanding. The spirit of the Roaring Twenties was marked by a general feeling of novelty. That is something new associated with modernity. We're going to define this term modernity and look at it. When I went over this the first time, I remember that Nasik paused and said that word several times. and that got my attention. And I went back, and that was the ancestors' way of telling me that this is key. Instinctively, Nasi saw it. And when you go back to the tape, you'll hear him say that word several times. And it got my attention. Novelty associated with modernity and a break from traditions, traditional faith, traditional religious outlook, traditional mindset, family. Are you all with me?
Mm-hmm.
Jazz and dancing rose in popularity. As such, the period was often referred to as the Jazz Age. That is the energetic aspect, family, that caused this. It always is for us. It begins with music first. Music is the call. Our soul gives the response. And things within the simulated matrix, Nasi, began to change, began to transform, and something new begins to emerge. Something modern, something from the right now,
Uh-huh.
not from the past, not a redo of something from the past,
Uh-huh.
but something new, novel, and modern.
Modernity, yeah.
When the new sound of jazz first spread across America in the early 20th century, it left delight and controversy in its wake. The more
Mhm.
popular it became, the more the liberating, that means freeing, doesn't it?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And sensuous, that means sexual, right? Creative,
Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm.
right? Was criticized by everyone and everything from car maker Henry Ford. Y'all gonna see why Henry Ford criticized this. To the publications like the Ladies Home Journal. You're gonna see why Ladies Home Journal came out and criticized this. It's very simple once you understand the energetic nature and the effects. And the New York Times, very important. Yet jazz arrived anyway. It was divine, family. It was divine music.
Yeah.
However,
Eitai,
yes,
I'm not trying to get into your class,
yeah, you
but
are. Go
also,
right ahead. Don't be my guest.
It
but
ain't.
also, hip hop had this same effect.
We getting ready. We going there, family. We going there.
Mm-hmm.
Just
Mm-hmm.
like the music, just like rock and roll of
Yes.
the early 50s, and then soul music, all that
Mm-hmm.
kind of stuff. All of that
Yes.
was an attempt for us to rise, and it had to be countered. We weren't done yet. We done now, family.
Hey.
When my grandmother found that I was playing jazz music in one of the sporting houses in the district, she told me that I had disgraced the family and
Mm.
forbade me to live at the house. He got thrown out. She told me that devil music would surely bring about my downfall,
Wow.
but I just couldn't put it behind me. That's Jelly Roll Morton, one of the
Wow.
great jazz
Wow.
performers. But that's
Yeah.
his own grandmother. What program was running in her?
Right.
Wow.
Yes.
Hey.
Mm-hmm.
Simultaneously to what? A divine program that was running.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That was
Yeah.
designed to do what? Break us out of
Yes.
Right.
traditions, to move us into the right now and to the something new. But even our own people, flesh and blood, Couldn't understand it. Why? Locked into the human matrix, the human mind matrix. An overriding, dictating, governing program was running. When the new sound, that's a new sound now. Isn't
Yes.
that what the scripture says? That would
Mm-hmm.
have to be a new sound, a new
Mm-hmm.
song. When the new sound of jazz first spread across America in the early 20th century, it left delight and controversy. We read that. The Devil's Music, 1920s jazz. This is a film, a documentary that they did on PBS called The Devil's Music, 1920s jazz. February 2nd, 2000 at 10 p.m. Check local listings. Examines the evolution of jazz from a radically new and socially unacceptable music genre. That's how you know it's divine. If it is
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
socially unacceptable,
Mm-hmm.
it is divine.
Mm-hmm.
To its current status as a great American art form, what was it about the music that offended so many people? And how did jazz finally gain mainstream widespread acceptance? Does this struggle for respect resonate with modern musical artists? We're not going to answer that. Jazz was different because it broke the rules, musical and social.
Yes.
Listen, family, it featured improvisation over traditional structure,
Yes, he did.
performer over composer, and Black American experience over
Mm-hmm.
conventional white sensibilities.
Mm-hmm.
Come on now.
Mm-hmm.
I'm showing y'all how to break out. We've attempted to do it, Nasi.
Yeah.
We've attempted to do it. American experience, Black American experience over conventional white sensibilities. Undercurrents of racism. What program is that?
Right.
White supremacist vision.
Yeah.
Established when? In Reconstruction. Undercurrents of racism bore strongly upon the opposition of jazz, which was seen as barbaric, bestial, immoral, satanic,
Wow.
demonic, Luciferian.
Wow.
Are y'all hearing this?
Mm-hmm.
And so one of the major ways they countered it was condemning it in the church.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Moving forward. Now remember, the Roaring Twenties was called what? The Jazz Age, family.
Yes.
I'm going to show us that this was us, that this was our divinity attempting to break through. Now, see, prematurely. So they had to
Yeah.
counter it. I'm going to show you. The Roaring Twenties was the period in Western society
Mm.
and Western culture. We ain't talking about no place in the East. That's
No.
where, family, we chose
Right.
to emanate from.
Yes.
So Malkiel, what they do is switch our attention to the East,
Mm-hmm.
and we try to solve our problems on that basis
Right.
and from that context. And we completely ignore the roots from where we incarnated, from
Mm-hmm.
whence we incarnated. The Roaring
So we had to pack
Twenties,
up.
huh?
So we had to pack up and move back to Israel, or we had to become African Americans.
That's correct. All of that. It's a distraction away from what we should be focusing on, away from our true energetic nature and our truth.
Mm-hmm.
It was a period in Western society and Western culture that occurred during and around the 1920s. It was a period of, look, family, sustained economic prosperity. And we're going
Mm-hmm.
to find out that that is the direct correlative corresponding result of our ascension, or even our attempt to. A period of sustained economic prosperity with a distinctive cultural edge. I know what that distinctive cultural edge was, and that was our culture.
Mm-hmm.
That was indigenous culture in the United States and Western Europe, particularly in the major cities as Berlin, Chicago, London, Los Angeles, New York City, Paris, and Sydney. In the French Third Republic, the decade was known as Anis Folles, crazy years, emphasizing the era's social, artistic, and cultural dynamism. Jazz music blossomed. Jazz music was the cause of it. Now, see?
Yes, it was.
And the flapper redefined the modern look for British and American women and the Art Deco peak. Now, let's look at this flapper thing. The flappers were a generation of young Western women in the 1920s. Before I get into that, let me show you all something. Now, you remember, all of this, Nasi, sprang from our focus on the fifth element. Are you all
The
with me?
fifth. Right.
On the fifth element. Our
Right.
focus on the fifth element. And
Mm-hmm.
understanding this transition from what? The fourth dimensional
Right.
reality to the fifth dimensional
Yeah.
reality. Now watch this. They did a movie called The Fifth Element back in the late
Whoa.
1990s. Do y'all remember it?
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Let me show you who they got representing the fifth element right there. Red hair, pale skin, blue eyes, and a
Mm-hmm.
woman.
Mm-hmm.
That is the exact opposite
Right.
of the representation of the fifth element. I'm going to prove it to you. I'm going to prove it to you. The flappers are a generation of young Western women in the 1920s who wore short skirts, bobbed hair, listened to jazz, and flaunted their disdain for what was considered affected as acceptable behavior. Lucifer caused that.
Yeah.
Lucifer and his angels caused that. I'm gonna prove it to you.
Yeah. Right.
You have the bobbed hair.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna show you who she's trying to be like.
Right.
Flappers were seen as brash for wearing excessive makeup, drinking, treating sex in a casual manner, smoking, driving automobiles, and otherwise flaunting social and sexual norms. That's what this energy does.
Yeah.
Right. Right.
Flappers, listen, flappers are the icons or the symbols of the Roaring Twenties.
Wow.
The social political turbulence, the social political turbulence, and increased transatlantic cultural exchange. This is how it got
Wow.
to Western Europe. And
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
followed the end of World War One, as well as the export of American jazz culture to Europe. Let me ask you the question: who created American jazz culture? Come on now.
We did.
Betty Boop was a figure that was created by Max Fleischer as a caricature of the flapper.
Mm-hmm.
And that's Betty Boop to the right there.
Mm-hmm.
Then,
Mm-hmm.
just like they did with the fifth element,
Yes.
they had a white woman represent Betty Boop, and her name was Helen Kane. And it says, folks, meet Betty Boop. Right. You'll be seeing a lot of her because she is the new animated cartoon character who is trying to cut in on Mickey Mouse's popularity.
Wow.
Remember, Mickey Mouse was one of the cartoon characters that was
Yeah.
created during the Roaring Twenties, correct?
Right.
Absolutely.
Does she look familiar to you? Now look at the little booper duper, Helen Kane. Helen was the cartoonist inspiration for Betty. That's a lie. It's a damn lie. First time a real life character has been used in for the popular jumping comics. Esther Jones. That's the woman down here.
Black woman from Harlem.
That's right. Helen Kane came to hear her sing.
Right.
And Esther
Right.
Jones, who Betty Boop looks more like. Look, I'm gonna show you. They knew. Even Max Fleischer knew that Betty Boop was a black woman. Watch this. Hold on. When they made her a little bamboo island. That's what it's called. I'm gonna play this for you all. Well, let me see if I can get it in the images because they play it in the gift. Now tell me, y'all tell me, is this a white woman or is this a black woman? Just look at her.
Mhm.
That.
And
Mhm.
I'm going to show you, they did have some of the moving gifts where she was dancing, and y'all can tell she's doing a native dance. So we'll look at the videos real quick because I want us to see beyond a shadow of a doubt that this is our stuff, that this is our energy. This is called Bamboo Island, Betty Boop's Bamboo Island. Directed, created by Max Fleischer. These are South Pacific people. This is very important, family. They know our
Mhm.
Yeah.
history better than we know ours. These are the Royal Samoans. They call them Royal Samoans.
Right.
All right, let's get to Betty Boop dancing. Okay, so she crashes on this island. Look at her skin tone and tell me if this is representing a Caucasian woman. Look at her skin tone.
Yeah.
Right.
That's a melanated woman there.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I want to get to the part where they got her dancing here. Now look at the other natives. Now you know what they are.
Yeah.
Mhm.
here's the dance part here coming up. She gets up and say, "You ain't seen nothing yet." That's a white woman, y'all.
Right.
Come on now. Now this is the 1920s.
Mm-hmm.
120.
They had someone in real life also that represented the flappers too, a lady called Josephine Baker.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
Right.
Yes.
she did that banana dance live. And I'm gonna
Right.
put that in the other notes. I'll put another picture. But here she doing the Charleston. We have always had the subconscious knowledge to know that this certain musical tone put in the ether
Mm-hmm.
would
Mm-hmm.
foment change in the physical realm. This is why we did rain dances and war dances and
Mm-hmm.
dance before Nasi, everything that we did. Music always accompanied it because it got us to the proper vibrational pitch and frequency to be able to change things within the physical realm. This is what jazz
Yes.
did. This is what jazz did. It was the actual representation was of Esther. They call her baby Esther, and it says Esther Jones' stolen boot, a white woman's fame built on a black woman's boot, and she was scat. When she was scat, they even got a recording of it. It's not very good, but you can hear her with the boopity boppity 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 boop and stuff like
Mm-hmm.
that when she was scatting. And Helen Kane went and saw one of her performances at the famous Harlem nightclub, the Cotton Club, where she was employed as an entertainer, and copied her act and became the so-called image of Betty Boop. So this was the actual cause, family, of this break from tradition, this move toward modernity. And it was actually caused by the jazz music. They don't want to tell you that. They want to tell
Yeah.
you the other way around that jazz music was a result of this movement. Well, what caused the movement? Explain to me from an energetic standpoint. They can't. It was the music that caused the movement, the
Oh
economic
yeah.
prosperity. Now,
Yeah.
we're getting ready to close. Bear with me. The spirit of the Roaring Twenties was marked by a general feeling of novelty associated with modernity and the break of traditions, of the break with tradition. Everything seemed feasible through what? Modern technology. That is a program that is running. And
Yeah.
it is typified, family, by the two major civilizations that emerge relative to our current age. One was the Lemurian, Nasi, which I believe we all belong to, which focus
Yeah.
which focus almost exclusively on the preservation and demonstration of divine power absent from technology. But the
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Atlantean focused on the spirituality, also simulated the spiritual and the energetic by making these devices, these technological devices. And
Yeah.
this was an ideological bumping of heads for the
Yeah.
two civilizations. So now see, even in a golden age, we see this duality that was first created, family, when divinity what? Imagine duality. Imagine
Mm-hmm.
itself within the physical realm. Two programs, now see, running at the same time.
King, Eitai,
Yeah,
Kalai and myself, I don't know if he's on, but we have a book called The Tree of Life, and it's just what you just saying. It shows exactly what you were saying, you know, how these different cycles of time, Lemuria and Atlantis, what
yeah,
happened, they tried to make ascension. So
that's
we
right.
find that very significant, very significant. I know if you're there, got to go back now and reread some of the things in the Tree of Life book.
Absolutely. And I got to get that book now. See, I'll get the particulars from you later.
Yeah,
Goliath right here. He hears
he heard me.
you. Good, you did.
Excellent. Okay, great, great, great.
Everything.
Now, I see. You said the book, The Tree of
Yeah,
Life.
the tree of
Yes, call me.
Okay.
everything seemed feasible through modern technology. Again, that was a program that was running now, see, the dominant program.
Yeah.
New technologies, especially automobiles.
Mm-hmm.
So y'all see why
Henry Ford,
Ford
huh?
came out against jazz music.
Right.
Mhm.
Are y'all with me?
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Had to. It brought modernity to a large part of the population. Formal decorative frills were shed in favor of practicality in both daily life and architecture. Became more simplistic, more holistic. At the same time, jazz and dancing rose in popularity in opposition to the mood of World War One. As such, the period is also referred to as the Jazz Age. See, they try to give jazz a major role. They always try to give the energetic aspect of it. Now, see, that is responsible for change a minor role and make it seem
Yeah,
like that it was just a result of the period. But
right.
everything is brought into view by an energetic cause. An
Absolutely.
energetic cause. So it can't be
Absolutely.
this way. It has to be that the music caused this move to into modernity, into novelty, and into this break with tradition that was predicted back in 1846, where Lucifer and his demons would be
Right,
would be freed from hell
right, right.
and would turn the world upside down. So modernity is a modern way of thinking, working, etc. And it makes you contemporary. And remember, we read the quote that existence is only in the present, that our power is the present, that mind, Nasi, either takes you back to the past or in the future.
Yes,
It
yeah.
will
Mm-hmm.
never allow you
Mm-hmm.
to exist and in the present moment. And we're going to see that they knew this and that they had to do something to stop this emergence into modernity that was caused and initiated, that was sparked by this new sound that we created. Now, in understanding this, and this is the bottom line, I found this article called The Crisis of Modernity, and it's going to sum up really everything that we talked about thus far. And this is an article by apparently a Catholic priest, a Father Stephen Freeman, from January 28th of 2011. And you all see the picture here, and it's entitled or captioned, The Descent of the Modernists. This is how they've always viewed, family, modernity, the
Mm-hmm.
move, how they view change. That would be what? Initiated by the only individuals that can cause change on this planet, and that is you and I, in our divine aspect. So you see the individual walking from the top step, which they say is Christianity. They put Christianity at the height, family.
Right.
The first step down is that the Bible is not infallible.
Huh?
The second step down states that
They
man
let her try it
is
on.
not made in God's image. And they say that this is a descent, but not saying actually this is an ascent.
Right.
Oh, no,
You got to turn the steps upside down.
That's
Yeah.
correct.
Yeah.
Absolutely correct. So this is the inversion, and it exemplifies and is emblematic, family, of the fact that there are two programs running simultaneously.
Yeah.
Are you all with me?
Mm-hmm.
So the question in this article that they put forth is this: what do you call a Christian whose mind is so construed that belief in God is almost impossible? They know that this mind, now seek, is something else.
Yeah.
That this mind creates the reality.
Yeah.
So it's asking what kind of mind creates a belief. It says, what do you call a Christian whose mind is so construed that belief in God is impossible? Belief in an eternal God is impossible.
Somebody mic.
Yeah, I got it. You call that a modern man, a man that is right now in the present, in modernity, and creating modernity, creating that change. That's evil to them, the modern man. And
Yeah.
the only possible modern man is us.
Right.
And we're going to show you that the majority of the aberrant man, as well as when the program, now see, the same program is running in our people, it puts us in the past. It keeps putting us in mind of a golden age that has passed, not realizing that we have been there, done that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Quoting from this particular article on this blog by Father Stephen Freeman. And it's isn't that ironic that his name is Freeman?
Right. Right.
Right.
I occasionally make allusions to the crisis of modernity. They see modernity as a crisis in one form or another. As in a recent post, which I made reference to Florovsky's term, the tragedy of Western Christianity. The crisis is not financial, although financial stumbles do reveal some of the cultural weakness within modernity. Remember, we said that as a direct result, now see, of this new energy coming forth, economic prosperity acts alongside of it correlatively, and it corresponds to it. Now see, it is a perpendicular wave that is created right along
Right.
Mm-hmm.
with
Right.
the
Right.
transverse
Right.
wave.
Right. And Eitai,
Yes.
so the objective, and I want to give us a concept here, I think, to help us out. And the objective is to keep things his mind, are running because it represents dualism, and therefore, even if the perpendicular unit's going before, if you're under the influence of that dualistic mind, you're going to always start to look back, and they're going to get in front of what you've activated in terms of the world. You
That's
follow what I'm
correct.
saying?
That's absolutely correct.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely correct. I
So we need to,
completely understand.
when we say mind, we need to say it represents dualism, so we know we ain't talking about, you understand, we know what we're talking about,
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay.
So, yeah, the objective is to always get in front of what you created so they'll benefit from your energy.
That's correct.
Yeah, I see.
So they're saying although the crisis was not financial, that the financial aspect was part and parcel of this. This is a statement that we made. So what did they do to end the Roaring Twenties? They
Yeah,
orchestrated the Wall Street crash of '29.
right, right. There you go.
Mm-hmm.
Why? Because
That's
the era was characterized by jazz music, dancing, modernity, and break with traditions.
right.
As
They
the
have that.
go right ahead.
I know. I said they can't have you breaking with tradition.
That's right. So they plunged not just they plunged the world back into this Great Depression and it created
Wow.
years of worldwide gloom and hardship. This is the game that is being played, family. This is
Yes.
Yeah,
the game that is
yes,
being
yes.
played. And we must keep in mind that it was not time, Nasi, for us to
Yeah,
ascend at that point. It was
yeah.
not time for us to ascend at that point. We had to get to the present moment. And
And
I'm gonna move quickly to summarize this just to give you all a complete picture. I knew it would be lengthy, but I want to give you as complete a picture as possible. And we'll do what we've been doing is we'll come back to it and then go into detail so that we have this thing as distinct as possible. Now, see, in our mind, in our awareness, and
right,
in our
right.
consciousness, that we can see this thing clearly. So we know that with modernity and with this energy that was produced by jazz music, it created a time of economic prosperity, which is a correlative result. So what did they do?
Right,
Now see,
right,
they couldn't stop the jazz music. They had tried.
right, right.
They had tried to say it was devil's music, but guess who? Guess who carried it to Europe? It was the young white women.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah,
That
yeah,
it affected, and they were able to popularize it, so they could not stop it without harming their own.
yeah,
So this thing, so what did they do? They hit the next best thing, the economic aspect of it, and
yeah,
crashed it. The Great
yeah,
the Great Depression was a severe worldwide economic depression that took place mostly during the 1930s, beginning in the United States, beginning in the West. It wasn't nowhere in the East, family.
no, no, no.
Mm-hmm.
So this is where this ascension is going to begin.
Yeah,
The timing of the Great Depression varied across nations. In most countries, it started in 1929 and lasted until the late 1930s. It was the longest, deepest, and most widespread depression in the 20th century. So, very quickly, family, we fast forward to the post war economy because we suffered that depression until the beginning of this fabricated war in 1942 that began where? Not with something that happened in the East so much to get us involved. We saw what was going on in Europe, and on that side of the world. We didn't get involved.
Mm-hmm.
But then the bombing of Pearl Harbor in
Yes.
1942
In the
got
West.
America in the war. This was something that was orchestrated. And
Yes.
you know, it restarted the economy and reconsolidated Nazi prosperity, not on spiritual terms, but on their terms, on terms of force and
Yeah.
technology.
Mm-hmm.
Y'all got to see
Right.
what's going on.
Right. Right.
So the post-war economy was from 1945 to 1960. Now, let's fast forward to today because we're going to make this connection. When Donald Trump ran on the platform of Make America Great Again, that was a hearkening back, not to slavery, as most people mistake it, not even of the 20s, now see, because they don't want to see the roaring 20s anymore,
No. No.
but to the post war economy of 1945 through 1960.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The United States became the world's richest country, the world's
Right.
highest standard of living, the world's
Right.
highest per capita income. This is
Right.
what they're talking about, and it fits the prophetic framework, family. That was
Yeah.
uh,
Yes.
so. Remember, as we close, that remember they called us the Antichrist, or that aspect of our energy, our divine energy, Antichrist, Luciferian, satanic, devilish. And when Barack Obama was elected, they renewed that in a very public way. And Donald Trump, listen, Donald Trump, I'm connecting this all up, was a reaction to the image, Nazi, of a divine being on the throne of the world.
Right.
Let me see where I have this, family. So, the election of President Trump, and again, we're going to connect this a little bit better, but we're going to respect the time right now and cut it a little bit short and summarize it at this point. The election of President Trump was white America's rash, reflective, retributive referendum on the election of President Obama. It was a referendum. A referendum is a general vote by the electorate on a single political question. And the question was, are we going to allow these Negroes to run our country and to run the world?
Right.
And the retributive aspect, retribution means punishment inflicted
Yeah.
on someone for vengeance for a wrong or a criminal act. They viewed that as criminal. And it's real to them because that's the program. That's the white supremacist vision that requires that any uh, movement or action on the screen that shows our freedom needs to be punished. Are you all with me?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
That was
Okay.
established in the Reconstruction period. And that is
Yeah.
the same movie that is running today. The same movie that is running today. However, Psalm 7, see, they dug a pit and they fallen into it, family. They're not going to recover.
Your own foot got caught.
Behold, he prevaileth with iniquity, and hath conceived mischief and brought forth falsehood. That's all that's being brought forth by this man is falsehood. He
Mm-hmm.
can't open his mouth without lying. He made a pit and digged it, and is fallen into the ditch which he made. His mischief shall return upon his own head, and his violent dealing. That is that
Yes.
violence uh, that accompanies the white supremacist vision. And family is not always physical violence. It's emotional violence. It's psychological violence. It's mental violence shall come down upon his own pate. Psalms 57. My soul is among lions, and I lie even among them that are set on fire. I believe that we are integrating into a burning house. And I even lie among them that are set on fire. Are you all with me?
Yeah.
Okay.
Even the sons of man, that's mankind, humankind, those whose teeth are spears and arrows, and their tongue a sharp sword. Are y'all seeing this, family?
Mm-hmm.
Be thou exalted, O God, my divinity, above the heavens. Let thy glory be above all the earth. They have prepared a net for my steps. My soul is bowed down. They have digged a pit before me. We see it. All we got to do is look at the headline. Into the midst of which, whereof they are fallen themselves. The signature aspect of Donald Trump's campaign is the divisive language and rhetoric. And of a recent article from January 17 states that most Americans agree that President Trump is divisive. But there has to become this separation now, see? This final separation. The sheeps have to line up on one side and the goats have to line up on the other. There has
Yes,
to
sir.
be a separation in the end times of the wheat and the tares that will
Yes.
grow together in the same garden
Until
until
the
the
time
time
of
of the harvest.
separation.
Until the time of the harvest. So this
Yeah.
individual is on the world stage in the West, and I see doing exactly what he's supposed to be doing.
Absolutely.
Donald Trump, this is the proposed Time Magazine's article that they scrubbed. It said the president of the divided states of America. It had to happen.
Yeah.
Get us from under the illusion that we would ever unite until what? We united energetically. He's managed to deepen the country's divide along ethnic, racial, political, philosophical, educational, and geographic rural versus urban lines. He's doing a perfect job, y'all. Stop
Perfect.
sweating.
Absolutely.
Perfect
Everything
job.
he's supposed to do.
Perfect job.
When we're going to take a look at now, see the age of Erythriel, which states, and they have it. I'm not even going to read that part because I got to decode it. But as I close, it says this is a prediction of a race war. Steiner says that a war between whites and non-whites is a historical necessity. Where is he getting this
Mm-hmm.
information from?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Evolution cannot proceed properly otherwise. Remember, what they see is evolution.
We see a definition.
We see is devolution. What they see
Yeah.
is progress. We see is
Right.
regret.
Right.
We wrapping this thing up, family.
Yes. Yes, we are.
We wrapping this thing up. It says, don't be misled by Steiner's use of the term yellow in the original German, der Gelb meint Scheit. Steiner didn't mean that whites will only have to fight yellow people, presumably Asians. You know why? Because he knows that even in Asia, that it was melanated people all over this planet, that we
Mm-hmm.
are the original people. So he's talking, now see, in diverse terms of yellow and brown, but they know what underlies all this, the two basic programs that are running.
Yes, yeah.
His forecast includes all colored people, melanated individuals, the Farbigen Mindscheid. In any case, he often used the term yellow and colored interchangeably. That is the that is the a more holistic term, because they know that at one point everyone was so-called quote unquote colored on this planet. That those are the indigenous individuals. In sum, Steiner is saying that once again, lower beings, that's what he calls us. But remember, inversion must be separated from the upward course of evolution. They
Boy,
done
oh
fell
boy.
into their own pit, family, and separated. They ain't doing no separation. We doing the separation.
Okay.
Okay.
In this case, the lower beings are members of lower races, and the separation will be violent. Unfortunately, we will not suffer that violence. Y'all gonna spontaneously combust. That's how the separation is gonna be done. Ain't gonna be no race war like that. A violent fight, white mankind and colored mankind. This is what they are. That's the trap that they're setting up for us. That's
Yeah,
the pit
right.
that they are digging for us. But they digging it for themselves. They gonna fall into the pit, and we're gonna see this very clearly, family, as we begin here on tomorrow. Okay.
All
Okay.
righty.
So that is, with that, I'm gonna say wholeness, and I'll end the recording here and open it up for